Okay, so I'm so glad everybody's here. Christy and Margot and Patricia, I see y'all coming in, and we're so happy y'all are here. I know a lot of y'all already know Bev because she sent a lot of people my way. And then, of course, she's so active in this group, which I endlessly appreciate. That's so sweet of you to help out like that. And so today, I just kind of wanted to, like, if y'all aren't familiar with her, I just wanted to give y'all a little taste of Soul and Grace Designs. And she's got a lot of stuff going on, and she knows a lot of things, so she's going to share some of that stuff with us today. So Bev, if you will just kind of start us out, I don't know the whole story, so how did you get started and when did you get started, and kind of start there?
I had an embroidery business and I made vinyl t-shirts. When my daughter was born, which 9 years ago, I got one of the very original Silhouette SDs. And so this is, a decade ago when bloggers were really the hot thing. There wasn't a whole lot of Facebooking back then, and there was no Pinterest. I remember when they announced Pinterest and we were all like, what is that thing? Like, it's magic, folks. It's magic. But so I was following these bloggers and they were like showing how they use their iron and made their kids like custom t-shirts. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I have a baby girl. And I'm like, that's really cool. With boys, like not so much. When they're young, you can do stuff like that, but not now. But so I got started with the Silhouette when it first came out, when it was still the SD version, which is crazy to me. But I was scared of it and I didn't really do a whole lot with it. I would, a project here, a project there. I did a lot of cutting for their poster boards to make letters, to make them like poster boards look nice and stuff. But I didn't really get into it because there wasn't a lot of information. And then Facebook groups started and things like that. And then I ended up with an embroidery business and people wanted t-shirts. Well, not everyone wanted an embroidered t-shirt kind of thing. So I figured out how to cut vinyl, just SVGs, and I bought them all. I wanted nothing to do with figuring out how to design them. I didn't, it was to buy an SVG for $3 made perfect sense to me. And that was what I would offer. I would put a sample up and that was it, kind of thing. Or I was really good at cutting monograms. I mean, I can cut a monogram, in 2 seconds. And so I started doing that. Well, then I had a friend, and this is kind of a crazy story, but I had a friend whose husband is, they were stationed in Killeen, and he, in the Army, and they were getting relocated. And she had just bought this vinyl printer. And she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She's like, we're ending up going someplace. They thought they were going someplace where they were going to be on base in tiny quarters with 2 kids and not have a place for this. And because, the vinyl printer is pretty big. And, she was like, I don't even know what to do. And I said, let me Google it. And I was like, oh, how cool. I don't have to layer vinyl. And, and sublimation shirts weren't really mainstream at this point. And I was like, so I won't have to layer all my vinyl colors. So I spent a year just printing and making things for boutiques locally. I would wholesale basically to boutiques and keep them in business. But then I was making like 300-400 t-shirts a week and delivering them and driving around. And I was tired. I was really, really tired. And so, and I had good muscles though from heat pressing all day. So I decided to open a group and sell printed vinyl. I wasn't going to sell designs. I was going to sell just the sheets, 12 by 12 sheets of pretty prints. But everyone kept saying, but we want designs. So, and this is a true story here. The very first designs I bought to print were from your Etsy shop. So if you go into my Etsy history, the very first purchase I made under Soul and Grace Designs, when I set up my Etsy account for, as a business account, was PLC, and it's your happy camper. So anyway, and that was, so you got me started. And so I bought things to print. And then as I was printing stuff, people said, but can you do this? And I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. And about that time you announced your membership. And I remember emailing you and saying, I don't think I can afford 6 months. I think I can only afford 1 month at a time. I'm really hesitant to put that kind of money out. And you're like, well, but monthly didn't make sense for you at that time because someone could get all the stuff kind of thing. And so anyway, so I kind of thought about it for 2 days and I really wanted it. And so I did it. And I meant to print your papers. I was going to print your your patterns. And so I started playing around with it, and I was like, this is fun. This is really fun. And so then I would put a design up on our page, and people would be like, "Oh, we want to buy that." And I was like, "Really? Are you nuts?" So, and it just sort of evolved. And what's really funny is all the stuff I ever did for our shop or for my daughter was very preppy, polka dots and chevrons and quatrefoils and brights, because that's sort of, little girl. And also like in the Dallas metro, like that was kind of me. I mean, I was the girl at Howard Payne with, the big Laura Ashley bow in my hair. Like it's, so it's really funny that my love of junky stuff has, you know what I mean, like come full circle. And so, and I'm a big salvage queen. I'm a big junking queen. So it does make sense, but it's really funny how that sort of evolved into what we do a lot of, so anyway, but that's how we got started. And that's, and really and truly the selling in a group happened a year ago, May. So a year and 4 months, maybe 4 months, 3 months, something like that. So yeah, not that long of selling the actual vinyl. Long time in actually doing t-shirts and making things and being a maker, but not that long in actually having the vinyl group and designing things. So
yeah, that's so cool. I love how everybody, if they've had a business for any period of time, you look back and they probably started as something completely different. And that's why, new business owners, some of them kind of stress out about like, I've got to have this product and have this, and it's got to be perfect. And I'm like, I guarantee you, whatever you start out with, start and go down that path, because it's going to change. Like, I don't know of very many business owners that I knew at the beginning of when I started that looked the same as, like it always turns into something else.
You have to evolve. I mean, I really do. I mean, do you think you have to? I mean, yes, I guess I could have just kept making t-shirts for other people or kept doing whatever. And so, hey, Meg. And so, but I don't know, it was like, I think that as you try to grow and you try to evolve, what you do in the process changes. I mean, just like we never thought we would be selling our designs.
Right.
We never did. And we get asked that question all the time, like, why do you sell the stuff that you also print? I print every day. I would never be able to keep up with, it doesn't take dinner off our table. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't. And if it helps another person grow their business, then that's good. That's good with me. And so, but people ask me all the time, why do you sell your designs when you print them yourself? Because I can't print for every person, and, and I can't do every medium for every person. So, we're happy to help everyone, like to do that and to share. So it makes it fun.
It does. And when you said that, like, I've really, in this last year, I've just been paying attention to really more, I guess, what I like to do. And when you said, this is really fun, I think that's a gold thing, because like, if you follow your fun, that's where your success comes. Like, I'm a huge believer in that. Like, when you find that thing that you really love to do, whether it's this for 6 months and it looks different, 3 years later,
right?
When you follow the fun, then I think you're in your zone when you listen to that.
I totally agree. And it's funny because as I go down the design path, my list of things that I haven't even touched that I want to design, the different things that I want to do are there. And it's kind of fun knowing that I get up and like get to pick something new to work on and get to, try out a new technique and, and do things. And it doesn't make a mess like whenever I tried painting. And so, like it's easy to clean up at the end of the day. So, but yeah, it's really, really fun whenever you get to evolve with it. And I think that's really important too, that when you try to fight what you do, when you see people who say, I'm not selling anything, I'm stuck in a rut, maybe because you need to, stop for a little bit, get quiet for an hour and doodle or like make some lists or let your brain, Megan always calls them my brain dumps, because some mornings she wakes up and there's like a message in our messages that's like 10 pages long and she's like, whoa, what is that? But, sometimes it's good and to get yourself out of the funk and to, not be stuck in what you're doing. And evolve. I think it's really important. It's important as humans. It's important for everything that we do.
I think in business it's easy to come from a point where you got to work, and be aggressive and get out there and pound the pavement, so to speak, and keep going. And of course, that's a quick recipe for burnout. Anybody will tell you that, but it's like that was the big turning point in my business when I learned, like, okay, when I get to that point, even before I get to that point, I really need to slow down. And there's so much wisdom in that silence and just stepping away from the laptop, stepping away from it all, going to sit outside and start, listening and, that kind of thing. So that's a huge thing, definitely. Okay, let me look at my list because I've got some more. Oh, this is what because everybody's always asking me this, and I think I've been in some of your classes and they ask a lot of this too. What does your typical day look like?
Okay. Well, with 4 kids, no day is typical. I'm just going to go, and this week has been so not typical, trying to get back into the school group. But ideally, I like to block my time versus having lists. So each little time block might have its own list kind of thing. So I'll spend I try to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I spend usually my first hour and a half, 2 hours with coffee, my Bible, a notepad, and try to get really centered, doing that. Then I will go in and answer whatever I can answer quickly that's in my messages, log into Facebook and see notifications from overnight, things like that. Then kids off to school. Then I print until about lunchtime. And so I print, and then I have someone who comes in and ships, and she comes in right about lunchtime, and she gets all of the shipping done by about 1:30, 2 o'clock. So about that time, usually I don't even get to shower until 2 o'clock, which kind of throws my whole day. But printing can be dirty. And so I discovered that, as soon as I showered in the morning, I would get covered in ink. So that's when the ink tanks need to be emptied or whatever. And it's not dirty every day, but some days it does get a little messy. So I usually shower and get ready for classes at 3 o'clock. And so, and then I'll teach, if we have a class that day, I teach at 3 and try to end by 3:45 so that I can start working on the next day's stuff, because then I prep. So if there's a class on Monday, chances are I'm recording it either Friday or Saturday for Monday. So Tuesday's class I record right after, almost always right after that class, so that I can answer the questions that were asked during that class, anything that came up. So, and then I cook dinner, and then usually or send my teenager for drive-through, one of the two. And so we just have to be honest, because some days, and then go through and usually end up playing on the computer at some point. I take a lot of classes for myself for development, personal development. So usually after dinner is when I log on and try to catch up on any of that. And that's also when I get on Photoshop and just kind of if there's Etsy orders that are custom that I need to do, I do those. If there's anything else, but that's when I usually sit down and play, or take the iPad out and get Procreate out and trying to learn something new and try to, but I'm usually playing at that point. Even though it's work play, it's usually play that I'm trying to practice techniques and trying to just, have fun with it. It's not really for any end purpose. And then my husband a lot of times doesn't get home from work until 9:15. So he gets home, and we usually go out on the patio and sit there till 10 o'clock, catch up on each other's day, relax, kids get in bed, and then ready to start the next day. So that's my typical day. So it's long.
Yeah. I know. You're the Energizer Bunny, because I see you in your classes, and you're just all over the place, and just oh my goodness, that lady makes me tired. Lisa said, what kind of printing do you do?
I have an eco-solvent printer, and so I print either printed HTV or printed 651 with the eco-solvent, and also print backdrops, photo backdrops. So that's what we print. So I have 2 sublimation printers, but I don't actually print sublimation to sell. So the printers there are just to teach the sublimation process to other ladies who want to learn. Margot?
Yes, I agree, Margot. She said, I'm worn out just listening to your day. Yeah, I think it's time for me to go take a nap now after hearing all
Okay, so
that.
before someone tells on me, one of my friends are probably going to chime in. So when I say I try to start my day at 5:30, what that means is I try to sleep until 5:30 because usually I get up at 4. And so, and always have. My mom, when I was little, would put a bowl of Cheerios and coloring book and crayons on our coffee table and tell me, do not wake her up. Do not wake her up. Don't, like, so I've always been this way. And my husband laughs. He's like, you're like a lab. He's like, you're either playing full speed or you're laying under the porch dead. Like there's no, there's no middle ground for me. So I'm, see, I knew that Megan would tell on me. That's why I had to tell myself first. So, but yeah, that's, I don't know. I just kind of, how I'm wired. So
Yeah.
some days I make myself tired, honestly.
Right. Now, I'm a morning person, but I'm also an early bed person. Like, there's nothing I love more than when it starts getting dark early in the fall, so I can get in my pajamas, and I'm going to be perfect for the nursing home because I can go to bed early like nobody's business. But I love to get up early, too, and just, get that start on the day and stuff. So.
I lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you see us? Can you all see her? Just type in the comments if y'all can see here.
I don't know. I lost all my volume.
Oh no.
Hold on just a second. Let me see.
Okay. We'll take a minute and see if we can get her back with us.
Oh, now you're here. Now you're here.
There. Okay, there it is. Megan said she didn't think y'all slept more than 4 hours when she was down visiting you.
Oh, I don't think that's true. I let her sleep in before I banged on the door and told her it was time to get up.
That's so funny.
I know.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think we're back. Okay. I also had a question for you. If you could go back and tell your younger business self something, what would that be? Or, if it's more than one thing, like what would you give your younger self some advice with?
To write everything down and to not be afraid to take chances. I think there's a lot of times that I have been afraid to, like some big brainstorm would come to my head, and I'm like 10 years ago, some big, it would come to me like, I want to say in a dream, but that kind of sounds biblical, but you know what I'm saying? Like usually all my good ideas come to me in the shower. But,
Me too.
Yeah. And so, but something would come to me and I would be like, that's stupid. No one's going to listen to you. No one wants to hear your idea. The negative self-talk that I had was so rotten, really rotten, because if I heard someone talk to my best friend like that, I would throat punch them. But, so I didn't take chances. And then 2 months down the line, I'd see someone else doing what my idea was. Now, I'm not saying they stole my idea because they didn't. I didn't mention it, okay? But it was like the universe gave me this idea, and because I didn't take it, it went on to the person who was open to taking the idea, if that makes any sort of sense. So I would say to my younger self, be more open, listen to yourself. And I'm not talking about taking stupid risks, like you have to measure what you're doing. But there were times that I just thought people would think I'm really dumb if I offered this, or people would really laugh at me if I tried to do this. And so I'm not going to do it. And I think that really, if you get down to it, what if someone does laugh at you? There's going to be 100 people who don't. And I think that when, if I were younger, I would have taken different risks and, been more open to more paths and of ideas and stuff like that. So that would be my advice, is not listen to the negative voices inside my own head. So, but yeah.
That's a big one too. I think it's really easy. I think we're women usually are our own worst critics, and it's so easy to talk yourself out of something, even if you're like, oh, that was really fun. And that again rolls back around to like, if it's fun, seriously, go do it. Because if you love doing it and you're having fun with it, then chances are you're going to be able to put that passion into it, and then you're going to make a profit out of it somewhere. And if you don't, it's going to lead you to something that does,
And the people who don't follow, they're not your tribe. And I think as women, we have to learn that, like you worry so much about like, oh, is my customer going to be offended if I offer X, Y, Z? And I'm not talking about offering some kind of off color something. I'm talking about just a product. Are they going to be worried that I'm stepping on toes? Well, but you know what? If they are, they're not your tribe. And so, and that's one of those things where you can be friends with people who do the exact same thing you do.
Right.
And still not, and I mean, in an example, I would even say the two of us. I mean, even though what we do is a little different, but a lot of it is the same. And we can still be friends and not step on each other's toes. And because it's a tribe, because we're not worried about, and I think that when we're putting stuff out there into the world of what we want to do and what we want to be, that the people who don't follow along with you, they're not your tribe. They're not your people. And so you need to just go ahead and bless and release them and move on to the people who are your tribe, who think the way you do and who, I'm not saying always agree with you, but do you know what I'm saying? Who get you, who understand what you're doing in life. And I think that that's part of it. So.
Yeah, that whole community over competition thing has been important from day one. And I remember when I started out on Facebook and I was just trying to do it organically without putting money into ads yet, just because I was so brand new. I used to do giveaways all the time, but I would feature other businesses. And that's essentially how I really started growing my Facebook group and my email list, just because I would be like, hey, I'm going to, post their giveaway and check out this business or whatever. And I'm thankful I did that, just because it really laid that foundation of like, we're all in it together. We really are. And yeah, the people that don't think like that, please go on down the road, because I'm not the person for you, and in turn, you're not the person for me. And I love what we have in this group and in your group, and it's just that spirit of community. And I was thinking last night, I was like so grateful for Facebook groups. Just kind of going through your gratitude list, and you can name 1,000 things, but even small things like we couldn't have even done this like 10 years ago or whatever.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And getting that community and that group together is, and it really is. It's an important thing. And I think we forget that. We forget that we're here to connect with other people and not just, post funny taco memes. And so, but yeah, I do. That's part of what we're here for, is that community and that support. And I think it's great that we can do that we can, and find the like-minded people and connect with them. Because, it's really funny too. We've talked about this. We lived in Brownwood, Texas during the same time period and never knew each other 20 years ago. But the universe wasn't right. It wasn't the time. And here's Facebook, and allowing us to connect. And I just think that it's one of those where it's neat. It's really neat that when the timing is right to connect, and how this social media thing allows us to connect with other business ladies and support and help other people grow. So it's an amazing tool. It's really amazing, actually.
It is. Yeah, that still just gives me chills that you were there, and I just remember, and when I launched, I think you joined like in the first month or the month after. It was like May or June of last year, and then you joined PLC Living, and it's just so funny to me, because then you've got to tell the story, because you haven't in this group, about how you financed your membership. Because when I heard that about your baskets, I seriously almost broke down and cried, because that's just the most meaningful thing in the world. Like, I just loved it. You got to tell that story.
I really wanted the membership, and it was not in my budget. And I was debating it and going back and forth, and I didn't know how I was going to make it work, but I really wanted it in there. And so I had Longaberger baskets that I collected, and that I, back in the day had them. I still have some. I didn't get rid of all of them, but I put my baskets up to sell on the local buy sell trade group. And that's how I financed my PLC membership. And now I'm getting all teary-eyed. But I think that as women, especially, okay, and this is not a knock against the male population, okay, but my daughter at 9 years old can figure things out that her teenage brothers cannot, okay? And I think with women, we're born with a gene that when we want something and when we find something of value, we figure out how to make it work. We figure out how to make it happen. And when something really means something to you, you will find a way. So, it's one of those things that having the membership to grow my business meant more than having some baskets on a shelf to me. And, and I think that as women, we're good at that. We're really good at figuring out how, just like Kelly said, she figured out how to grow her community by cross-promoting other women. And I think that, and it's funny, I mean, I did, like I sold my baskets and I've gotten my return, 500 times, and not just financially, in all kinds of ways. And so, but I think that it's important that we remember that as women, when we set a goal, we can figure it out. I mean, and I think a lot of times we forget that we forget that we have that ability and that power to, think it through. And that goes back to the negative self-talk, but I wanted something, I figured it out. And it meant a few less baskets to dust, but it does. I mean, and so that's one of those things that I think that, that it's important that we remember that. And yeah, Kelly, I'm never going to live that story down, am I? That's going to be part of my...
You said that. Of course, it was a huge compliment, but I was like, she gets it. Because you either make a way or you make an excuse. And there's, if you want something, you're going to figure out, and especially if it's an investment for your business, like that's the thing. You really have to, get in there, do the research, invest in your business. And so speaking of investing in your business, I know you've got some promotion going on because you always have something going on. So tell us what's going on.
We just hit 5K members in our group, which was huge for us in a year. And so we're having a big sale, 5K member sale. But more than that, the thing that I've really enjoyed as my group has grown is teaching. And so we have a starting sublimation class coming up in September, and signups are going on now, and it's starting, basically we will compare. I have both sets of printers and compare and how to get set up and how to start from turning on the printer all the way through. And to actually pressing things and doing things. And I'm a really big non-t-shirt sublimation printer. I really think that the t-shirt market is saturated, and there's nothing wrong with making t-shirts. Don't take me wrong. But I think that my big thing that I teach in the classes is that if you are in a town and you're telling me that your market is saturated with t-shirt makers, we really stress all the other things you can make with your equipment to add on and to up your competition, to up your level of performance, I guess, if you would, up your products and what you do. And then in October, if you're local to Texas, we are having an event. And Kelly's going to be here in spring, and I'm putting that out there in the universe so that she cannot back out. Okay.
Okay.
The October one was late in planning, but we're having an event in October to help ladies get ready to grow their businesses in 2019. So there's going to be Joy with Alphalicious and Lee with So Chic Fabrics, and we have stalls coming and some different people to come and talk, and we're going to have some demonstrations and things like that. It's going to be really good. But all of that is in our group, and we would love if anyone wants to come join us. We are Soul and Grace Designs, and so that's our group. And thanks, Kelly, for letting me plug that. That's really nice of you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm going to go a little bit further with that because, as I get a lot of sublimation questions constantly, emails, and in this group, there's so many people starting out in sublimation. One, I love that you don't just focus on t-shirts because that's so cool in your courses. Like I've said in a couple that we've collaborated on the graphics with, and I love that you're always teaching products that don't have anything to do with t-shirts, but also, there's just so many beginner sublimation people in here are wanting to get into it. So if you, after we get out of this group, if you'll just put yourself a little comment and plug your class in there, because I know a lot of people would benefit from it. So that would be great.
I will do that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Let me see. One last question. What's your favorite social media platform right now?
Well, I probably use Facebook the most since our classes are there and things like that. But I love Pinterest. Love me some Pinterest. In fact, in the middle of taking a Pinterest mindset course, which is kind of funny, that working on, and so my Pinterest boards are all over the place because they're dismantled and being redone. But I really think as a crafter, Pinterest is just Google. It's just a search engine. Pinterest is a search engine. There's not a lot of interacting, things like that, but it's a really good way to promote your business. And so I'm really working on trying to stay, when I'm working on my Pinterest boards, I'm trying to not follow the glittery squirrels down, like down the Instant Pot track, but I love Pinterest. Pinterest is just, for me, it's just fun, and it's no stress. There's no, politics, religion, negativity. Pinterest is all the good stuff, it's just all the fun, pretty pictures. And so I love Pinterest. Pinterest is one of those that makes me just feel good scrolling through with my imaginary house and my imaginary wardrobe with my imaginary well-kept kids. I just, it's fun. So Facebook is the one I use the most, but Pinterest is the one that I go to just kind of chill out and relax. And it's also the one that if I am looking for something, I actually will go to Pinterest first. The other day, I'm working on my iPad, and I wanted some Procreate brushes. I wanted some new brushes and tutorials for my iPad. And I went to Pinterest first because you can see their work, it's not like just going to Creative Market and buying it, because you can watch the person on their blog use it and kind of feel it before you plop down your $10 and buy it. And so that's the other thing I really like about Pinterest, is it's usually attached to something beneficial most of the time. So if you're shopping, you can kind of see what you're getting into before you buy it. So
right.
So Pinterest is my favorite. So.
That's funny. Yeah, I've been with Pinterest, in the beginning when they would invite you, you'd have to have an invite, you couldn't just go join, So I've been with it forever, and I've used it for business, but it seems like, they worked some quirks out and stuff over in the last year or so. And so I've really gotten back into it, and I just finished Melissa Griffin's, her Pinterest course. I can't remember what it's called right now, but I just finished that, and I used Board Booster for years, but then I got into Tailwind, which I like so much better than Board Booster. And so it's kind of renewed my passion for it, which I'm with you. It's so funny because my sister, we've had conversations over the years, and I'm like, go look that up on Pinterest. And she's like, I'll just Google it. And I'm like, who Googles things anymore? You gotta Pinterest it. And so I'm always
That's me.
There's just so much.
You want a recipe? Go to Pinterest. You want, how to make an American Girl doll something? Go to Pinterest. I mean, it's always there. It's always there. And it may not even come up on Google. The same search may not bring up the same stuff. So, I mean, I love me some Pinterest. That's my favorite. So.
And I don't think people realize, especially new business owners, what a business resource it is. You can find anything on there, how to grow your email list, how to grow your, Facebook group, how to run Facebook ads, anything on there. It's just a powerhouse for a new business owner or any business owner.
It really is. It really is. And so it is my go-to. Before I Google, I Pinterest. So.
Yes. I'm with you on that. Yeah. I'm with you on a lot of stuff I've noticed.
Yay. Oh, that makes me happy.
Okay. So, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us. Hey, Catherine, if you're watching the replay, feel free to leave comments or anything. We, always go back through those. And I think we're going to wrap it up because we've gone on, I think, about almost 45 minutes now. So, again, thank you so much, Bev, for joining us. If you will leave your link, to your sublimation class, that will be so great. And do you have anything before we go? Any last words?
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I do.
You're welcome. You are so welcome. And thank you so much for everything you do in here, because you answer questions, and it's so helpful because you have a lot of good stuff to offer. So I really appreciate that. Oh, there's Elaine. Elaine, it's so good to see you. When I started doing Facebook Lives way back when, she was one of the first ones always to get on there. So I always have to look for Elaine. So thank y'all so much. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.